We are live on Rumble. Good morning, live on YouTube. Good morning, live on X. We are live on Facebook and now live on LinkedIn. We are live on Instagram. Not sure it's working. It says we are telling your followers you started a live video, but it's quiet. I don't know if Instagram I think Instagram's working. So good morning, Instagram. Good morning, everybody over there on TikTok. Tell me your locations. We're going to get started in 24 seconds. Hope everybody's having a great start to your Thursday. We're going to talk about this airplane with Donald Trump here today. And I'm going to mention a couple other things that are going to be discussed as we move forward. We're just waiting for more. We're looking for more material to be gathered before we get into some other things that I'm going to get into. But we're waiting on several of them right now. Nikki, good morning. Duck Bone Buck, good morning. China H, good morning. Connecticut's in the house. Lisa says, happy Friday Eve. North Carolina's in the building. So what we're going to talk about here today, as I told you, we're going to talk about this airplane that Donald Trump is receiving from the government of Qatar. Depending on who you ask, the airplane costs $400 million, $700 million, whatever. Doesn't matter. There's a whole bunch of hundreds of millions of dollars that they're gifting Donald Trump this plane. Is probably going to be a very immaculate plane. And the whole question is this legal? Is this some ethical gray area that Trump is stepping into? And being that there's already a legion of people who look for any way to paint anything about Trump in a negative light. This is just providing more fuel for that fire. That's what we're going to discuss here today, and the bigger picture of how people are trying to distort whatever story about Trump, or are they distorting it? Maybe Trump is actually distorting the law, or are people distorting the story? We're going to find out. Now, before we get into that, let me tell you all that I've been paying attention, and many of you are probably paying attention to the Diddy trial, or the Puffy trial, or Puff Daddy, whatever you call this guy. Diddy trial is going on right now. I believe we're on the fourth. Today is the fourth day of the trial. This trial is supposed to go over the course of 8 weeks. I am going to get into discussing it at some point after some more material is gathered. I've been following what's going on. I've been hearing what's been happening with the testimony. Unfortunately, because of the way the case is set up, there are no cameras allowed in the courtroom, and a lot of people reporting on the case, they can't even be in the courtroom because it's a small courtroom. Any of you been to Manhattan, you'll know there's a whole bunch of stuff packed into very tight spaces. I hate actually driving in Manhattan because the parking garages and the parking spaces are so tight you feel like you're going to crash into something or someone everywhere you go. But that's besides the point. I will get into that because I want to talk about, there's a lot of people just talking about Diddy on a character/ethical level now with what's been happening. So I do have some notes on that. It is a few notches down on the list. So we're going to talk about these South African refugees that's coming up. Trump trying to lower big pharma prices. Allegedly, that's coming up. They're saying that this guy, the Derek Chauvin, the police officer from the George Floyd situation, you remember him? They're saying that he might get pardoned in the state of Minnesota. That's coming up. So we got a whole lot of things on deck. But today we're going to talk about this $700 million plane that allegedly, that Donald Trump's going to receive, and that is allegedly going against the grain of what he's supposed to be doing legally. So those of you who don't know me, my name is Dre Baldwin. Many know me as Dre all day. I'm a former 9-year pro athlete, author of 41 books on 4 TEDx talks. I own this company called Work on Your Game. You can find out more about that at the links in my profile. If you're on TikTok, I just updated that link. I told you I was going to update the link. So it's workonyourgame.live. That's where you can get, that's basically a page that for all of you watching me live and you don't know anything else about me, or you want to know what the next steps are, that link will tell you everything else that you can do, all the different ways you can engage, links to my podcast, to my books, to my coaching programs, to my chat bot, and to get on my email list are all at that link. That link is workonyourgame.live. I'll pull it up right here on my phone so y'all can see it. So as you can see right here, it says, if you like the live stream, here's your next move. Just go to this link right here, workonyourgame.live. So you go to the link in my profile, you all will see this and I don't have that link on all these profiles, but I will pin this link over on Instagram so all of you can see it. So let's see right here. Last time I tried to pin a link on Instagram, it was giving me some trouble. So let's see if this works this time. Yeah, Instagram has been kind of janky lately. I don't know what this is. Let's try that one more time. It's still giving me an issue. All right, so let me just send it. Let's see if we can pin it. Okay, well, they are letting me pin it, so we'll just pin it like that. So let's get into this. In early May 2025, we already know that's right now, or in mid-May now, report surfaced that the Qatari government is gifting a luxury Boeing 747-8 aircraft that is valued at somewhere between $400 and $700 million to be used as a temporary Air Force One for President Donald Trump. So the Wall Street Journal report says that Trump was frustrated, and this is the part that a lot of people don't know, why Trump is receiving the plane. So you all need to understand the context. The reason Trump is receiving this plane is because Boeing, the company, the company that makes Air Force One, they were taking so long to make his Air Force One plane that he asked for in his first administration. So the first time Trump was president from 2017 to 2020, he went to Boeing and told them, we need a new airplane for Air Force One. They said it would take them like 20 years to make this plane, to make the new Air Force One. That's what Boeing said to Trump in his first administration. So here he is in his second administration with a 4-year gap in between, and they still don't have the plane ready. And Trump is getting annoyed with Boeing for taking so long to make the damn plane. So what he did was he reached out to a U.S. contractor who used to work for the Qatari government, and they are going to get this plane, and they're going to get the plane much sooner. So after his term ends, what would happen is reportedly this airplane would then be transferred to his presidential library for display. So in other words, the plane would not be used anymore. And Trump has said himself he would not use the plane anymore. Now, this announcement sparked immediate controversy for several reasons. One, because of Donald Trump. So any announcement he makes is going to be controversial. Critics are questioning the legality of it, the ethics of it, and the optics of it, of a president accepting such an expensive gift from a foreign government, because people have some issues with the Qatari government, while supporters are arguing that the plane would serve national interest, and follow a legal path through governmental channels. So this is the crux of the argument here. So the Department of Defense is the official recipient of the aircraft, because this aircraft is being given to Trump as president, not Donald Trump the person. It's not going to Donald Trump personally. It's going to Trump as president. But political, legal, and public opinion debates continue to swirl around this. And there's something that Donald Trump said that I will mention here at the beginning, because he was, Donald Trump actually takes questions from the media. So like a couple times a week, Donald Trump would just stand in front of the media and face the firing squad and just let them throw whatever questions they want at him. He stands there and answers all their questions. In other words, every other day, Donald Trump does what Joe Biden did not do for 4 years straight, just for the record. So he takes these questions, and someone was asking him about the plane. And he said, one of the points that he made, he said several things, but one of the points that he made was that there's a golfer named Sam Snead, a guy who was a very successful golfer back in the day. And Sam Snead said that if someone gives you a putt, you say thank you, you pick it up, and you walk to the next hole. Those of you who don't understand that analogy is in golf. If you have a putt that's really close and the person you're playing with says, I'm just going to gift you that putt, so you don't even have to actually hit the ball into the cup. We're just going to assume that you would have made that, and you don't even have to actually do it. So it's basically like giving somebody points. It's like we were playing basketball, and I said, I'm going to just gift you that layup. I'm not even going to make you score the layup. I'm going to just give you 2 points. It's analogizing. That's kind of what it is in golf. And what Donald Trump is saying that Sam Snead said is that if someone gifts you a putt, you don't sit there and argue with them and say, no, I want to actually hit the ball. No, you say thank you. You pick it up and you walk to the next hole. You take the free gift that is being given to you rather than sitting there and arguing about the gift. That's the analogy that Trump is drawing here. So let's get into these points. And by the way, I'm going to take questions and comments at the end. I am live on 7 different platforms here: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Rumble, and X, if I said them all. And the replay to this will be on my YouTube channel, whatever platform you're watching this on. So this plane, those who defend Trump say this plane is going to the Department of Defense. It is not going to Trump personally. Was minimizes personal gain. Now, one of the mitigating factors of why people are getting upset about this is because Donald Trump is already known for having a lot of money. Donald Trump's known for having business interests outside of the United States of America and business interests outside of being a government guy. So And you got all the people in politics saying, well, there's only rich guys out there running the government, et cetera, et cetera. So people are all getting mad about this because Donald Trump is already known for having money. And now here he is getting a gift. And if this was anybody else's president, we'd be getting this gift. So I get why people are trying to raise an issue about this. But if we're just talking factually, and there are several facts here, I'm just giving you one, that the plane is being gifted to the Department of Defense. The plane is not going to Donald Trump as a person. But on the other hand, this gift still creates an indirect benefit to Trump, especially if it ends up at his presidential library. This is a flimsy point as far as I'm concerned, but this is what people are saying. Well, Trump is still benefiting because he's getting the plane and is going to his presidential library. And some are saying, well, he may try to take it out of the library and use it anyway later on. And let's say he does. So what? But he said he's not going to. I mean, that's all we can go off of is what he said. And other than that, we can only go off what actually happens. Nothing's actually happened yet because he doesn't even have the plane yet, number one. Number two, he's still president. And number three, he said that the plane is going to go into his library and he's not going to use it. And number four, just not for nothing, Donald Trump already had a plane. Donald Trump already got a plane. I'm not talking about Air Force One. Donald Trump had a plane before he became president. He had his own airplane already. So I don't know if Donald Trump needs another airplane from the Qatari government. And even though I do not own an airplane, I've heard some people and talked to some people who do own airplanes and do have access to airplanes, and they are not cheap. Airplanes are not cheap to maintain. They are not cheap to use. Just to fly in an airplane, the gas costs a whole lot of money. It's not like getting gas at the Mobil or the Shell gas station. It's a lot of gas a lot of costs go to the gas just to use the plane. You got to pay a lot for the gas, and then you got to pay for the pilots, and then you got to pay for wherever you keep the plane when you're not using the plane. So having a plane is not cheap. So just getting a plane is not like it's not like you just found some money on the ground. It actually costs you money to have a plane. So it needs to make sense for you to even have one in the first place if you're going to have one. For Donald Trump to have two, I don't know how much business Donald Trump is doing, but there's only one Donald Trump. So what is he going to do with two airplanes? I don't think he actually wants that plane. Even if the Qatari government and the U.S. government said he can keep it, why would he want to? It would actually cost him more money than it would make him because, again, he can't split himself into two different people. But anyway, continuing. The gift still creates an indirect benefit to Trump. And actually, yeah, I got that right. So I already answered that one. So using this plane could save taxpayer money while Boeing's delayed Air Force One project drags on. And this is, again, the reason why this whole plane situation came up is because Boeing, the company that makes the plane, was taking so damn long to make the plane that Donald Trump was like, all right, forget these guys. Let me get a plane from somewhere else because they're taking forever. And Donald Trump only has 3 more years plus to be president. He wants a plane now. And I mean, this is the biggest job in America. Why is Boeing taking so long to make this plane? Y'all can ask the people at Boeing about that one. So he doesn't have a right to be annoyed about the situation because they're taking too long to make the plane. And it saves taxpayer dollars because they can just go to Boeing and say, well, forget about making that plane or putting more money into making the plane faster. It saves taxpayer dollars such that we aren't paying for the plane because the Qatari government's paying for the plane. So it costs anywhere from $400 to $700 million. That's $400 to $700 million that U.S. taxpayers do not need to spend to fund the plane, which is a good thing. Should be a good thing. But what some people say is accepting a foreign gift of this magnitude may violate the Constitution's emoluments clause. So this is the thing that people are talking about, this emoluments clause that Donald Trump is receiving a gift that's a little bit too big and is going against the grain of something that's in the Constitution, which again brings into play this ethical gray area. So let's get a direct definition of the emoluments clause in the Constitution. And I'll spell that out for you so you all know what it is in a second. But Pam Bondi, who we're going to get to in a moment, I believe she's the Attorney General. She has already clearly laid out why this is okay. I mean, now she is a Trump appointee, but every Attorney General is the appointee of the president. So this is not really a mitigating factor. Now, I'm not going to read the entire emoluments clause. There's a lot of stuff in it. But generally, what the emoluments clause says is that it refers to 2 provisions in the Constitution that restrict government officials, such as the president specifically, from receiving certain types of benefits, also known as an emolument, from foreign or domestic sources while in office. So it seems like if you just look at that just on its face, seems like Donald Trump receiving this gift from the Qatari government is a violation of this clause. because it says this is all about the president not receiving certain types of benefits from a foreign government, but he's receiving a benefit from a foreign government and he's president. So how the hell could this possibly be okay? So let's see what it says. So Article 1, Section 9, Clause 8 says, no title of nobility shall be granted to the United States, and no person holding any office of profit or trust under them shall, without consent of Congress, accept any present, emolument, office, or title of any kind whatever from any king, prince, or foreign state. What does that mean? Federal officials, such as President Trump, cannot accept gifts, payments, or other benefits from a foreign government or their representatives without congressional approval. So this is meant to prevent corruption, bribery, or undue foreign influence. This is basically the foundation of everybody who's against Trump getting this plane, or the government, quote unquote, getting this plane. This is what they're standing on. This right here. Because he seems to be receiving a present, emolument, office, or title from a king, prince, or a foreign state. Now, the counter to that is a simple detail, which is that Donald Trump himself is not receiving the plane. Is that the United States government is receiving the plane. The Department of Defense is receiving the plane. Trump just happens to be president. That's the reason why he gets to use the plane. But again, because people have such strong opinions about Donald Trump himself, they're making this about Trump when it's really just about is on this technical detail. And the entire argument rests on this detail. So one side of the detail is, well, Donald Trump's receiving the plane from the Qatari government. The other side of the argument is, hey, no, he's not. The Department of Defense is receiving the plane. Donald Trump just happens to be president. So whichever side of that point you fall on is going to lead to whether you are okay with the plane or you're not okay with the plane. But the entire argument is just this right here. That's the crux of it. So any of you who ever watches a legal case or a court trial play out, such as this Diddy case that's happening right now, the bottom line of legal cases is always on technicalities. So it's not about the big picture stuff. Is this person a bad guy? This, that, and the third. Did they actually did they actually take the lives? Did this person steal the stuff? That's usually not what it comes down to. What it comes down to is a legal technicality and how well you can build your case on which side of that technicality the situation falls. So is this side, it's okay. This side is not okay. And if you can convince the jury of that, you win cases. You fail to convince the jury of that, or your opponent convinces the jury better than you convince, then you lose the case. That's pretty much what it all comes down to. So there's also domestic emoluments, which I don't think applies here. President may only receive their official salary while in office. No extra payments, bonuses, or gifts from federal or state governments. And this is all about preventing foreign bribery or influence. So people are saying Trump's taking a bribe from these people and he's corrupt and he's enriching himself personally. And this is the reason why people are basically going against the concept of Trump, quote unquote, receiving this plane when it's really the government receiving the plane. Again, depending on how you want to argue it. What is Attorney General Pam Bondi's argument in defense of Trump receiving the plane from the Qatari government right now? So let me just get this spelled out, what Pam Bondi has said. I already laid out that she defended it and she said he's clear to do it. But let's see if we can get a direct quote from what she said. So she defended the legality of Trump's plan to accept this luxury aircraft. Her legal analysis concludes, this is what Pam Bondi says, is the top lawyer in the country. The arrangement does not violate the emoluments clause, which prohibits as I just explained, I already told you that. So the key point of what Bondi says, so we should go over this. That it's a gift to the government, not to Trump personally. Didn't I just tell you all that? All right, I should be Attorney General. Secondly, there are no explicit conditions attached, which means the legal memorandum that Bondi and the White House counsel David Warrington indicates that the gift lacks explicit conditions that would benefit Trump personally. So again, this is not a personal thing to Trump. It's a government thing to the government. And also is eventually going to be transferred to the presidential library. So the aircraft will go into the library, and her analysis, Bondi that is, maintains that this transfer does not alter the legality of the initial gift to the government. People's pushback is that this could create a conflict of interest, that Bondi has done some lobbying for the Qatari government, that she has had a relationship with the Qatari government in the past. We'll come back to that in 1 second. That there are security and ethical implications. People are not sure that if a foreign aircraft is given to the president, they got to check it. Or is the foreign government spying on us through that plane, et cetera, et cetera. So people say that Bondi had previous relationships with the Qatari government. She's done work with them and for them. It's been paid by them in the past, and that can introduce some form of corruption. My answer to that is this, in that, yes, it could. I mean, you could say something could lead to something bad and damn near anything that you bring up. The problem with that is this: government is a bureaucratic space. In the same way academia is bureaucratic, same way corporate America is bureaucratic. And any of you who's ever worked in any of these spaces, you know very damn well that the way that you advance in these places and the way that you get things done is through what? Knowing other people, relationships. Is this not true? Any of you work in the government, corporate, or academia, tell me to get a career advancement or to get a promotion or to get a raise or to get a better job or to move from one company to another for more money or a higher standard or a higher position, that is, isn't it all based around relationships? The business world is all about relationships. It is all about who you know and who knows you, and having a positive relationship with as many people as possible in the spaces in which you want to get things done. That is the way business gets done. Business gets done through relationships, ladies and gentlemen. That is how the game works. The sports world, where I initially come from, is not about relationships. Not that relationships aren't there, but the sports world is about performance. If you can play, you don't have to know anybody. They want to know you. But in the business world, if you can play and nobody knows you, you're going to be a very frustrated player because you won't be able to get your game out there into the world. So you have to have the proper relationships. I'm saying all that to say this: Pam Bondi having a relationship in her past with the Qatari government is actually a good thing, because it's probably part of the reason why Donald Trump is able to get this plane, because of the relationship that she's had with the government. So people saying, well, this could possibly lead to corruption because she knows people and she's done business with them before. Okay. On the other side of that same point is one of the reasons why it can even happen is because she has the relationship. Because if she didn't know anybody, guarantee you she would not be the attorney general right now. Everybody understand? All the people who got appointed by Donald Trump into their positions, yes, maybe because they have a certain stance, maybe because they have certain information and no expertise or qualifications. People like to throw these words around. I'm not even a fan of these terms. Another reason why all these people got the positions that they got is because they know people. That's why they got in. You know why Donald Trump chose Elon for Doge? Not just because Elon is some type of genius, and not because he created Tesla, and not even because, let's just leave with those 2 points. Is because Elon knew a bunch of really, really smart people who he could call and get them to come to DC and actually work on Doge. It's not like Elon was sitting there going through documents by himself all day, every day. He wasn't doing it. Elon was doing stuff, but he wasn't doing it on his own. Did y'all see that interview that Fox had with the people on Doge? And there's a bunch of people who none of us has ever heard of, but they're all high-level people, really smart people in high-level positions at companies and schools and in situations all around the world. How did all those people end up working on Doge? The reason all those people work on Doge is because Elon knows them. Do y'all understand? The way you move ahead in business is through relationships. And all those people that Trump has brought into his cabinet, same thing that Biden did in his cabinet, same thing Obama did in his cabinet, is he brings in people who know people, because in business, you got to make the phone call. In the corporate world, you don't get things done just because you're good. You get things done because you know somebody who likes you and you're good. If you're just good and you don't know anybody, you ain't getting anything done in the business world. Can somebody co-sign this, please? Because I don't want y'all to think I'm just saying this. But I need some people in the comments co-sign. Put the word co-sign in the comments if I'm saying things that you all understand. To get things done in business, you must have relationships. You must have connections. Everyone added to any cabinet, you're known. You move up in corporate is because you know people. Being good alone is not enough. It's never enough. So any of you who didn't know that, now you know. Now, other presidents, as we continue, other presidents have displayed aircrafts in their library, so this would not be unprecedented. So Donald Trump would not be the first president to have an airplane in his presidential library. And Qatari's ties to the Trump business dealings, this is what some people say, they have some ties to Trump businesses. So Trump has done business with the Qatari government in the past, and because of this, it could possibly raise red flags about potential conflicts of interest. But I just knocked this point down a moment ago. I just told you what is part of the reason why the Qatari government is willing to gift Donald Trump a plane that costs somewhere between $400 and $700 million. Does that have something to do with the fact that Donald Trump already had a relationship with the Qatari government before the need for the plane? The answer is hell yes. Again, Donald Trump asked for the plane in his first term. 2017 to 2020, he asked for a plane from Boeing. They were taking too long to make the plane. So what does Donald Trump do? He didn't get the business done over here where he wanted to. What does a businessman do when he's trying to get something done and he can't get it done on his own? What does he do? Somebody answer that question in the comments. If you're in business and you're trying to get something done, you try to get it done through your efforts and your skill, and you can't get it done yourself. Just you personally can't get it done. What's the next thing you do? What's plan B? Anybody know the answer to the question? This is an open question I'm asking the audience. Put it in the comments if you have an answer. You're trying to get something done in business. You couldn't do it with your own effort and talent. What's the next thing that you do? All right, so all of you know the answer. All right, Toby got it right. Carolyn got it right. Michelle, you got it right. Dally MAK got it right. All right, all of you understand. You pick up the phone. You pick up the phone and say, who can get it done? That's the way it works. First thing you do is you use OPM and OPR. Those of you don't know what that means. That means other people's money, other people's resources. That's how business happens. I just said this. I'm gonna say it again. Business is all about relationships. If you don't know anybody, you could be the best in the world at what you do. If nobody knows you, you will be a very frustrated professional because you won't get anything done. To get things done, you must have allies, friends, connections. And this is in any type of bureaucracy. In the police department, if you don't know anybody, you could be the best cop in the world. But if you don't have good relationships in the police department, you're not going to be able to do your cases the way you want to do your cases. You won't have the resources to investigate your cases. If you're a great lawyer, if you don't know other lawyers, you won't be able to win cases. If you're a great salesperson, corporate salesperson, you won't be able to get deals done if you don't know people. You're not going to get named the head of mergers and acquisitions at some Fortune 500 company if you don't have a Rolodex of relationships, because how are you going to get any mergers or acquisitions done? You don't know nobody. Nobody knows you. Nobody's answering your call. All right, this is the way business operates. Donald Trump. I remember I was watching this TV show with it was Russell Simmons. Y'all know Russell Simmons. Right now he's in Bali, which I guess he's going to live out the rest of his life there because people think that he might is a non-extradition country, and a lot of people think that Russell might be guilty of some assault of the sexual nature. So he's in Bali right now. But Russell Simmons is a hip hop mogul from back in the days, I guess we call it back in the days now. He had a reality TV show. It was probably like 2008, 2010, something like that. And he was in his office in New York. That's where Russell was from. And Russell was a well-connected guy. He was part of the team that started Def Jam. Him and Rick Rubin started this company called Def Jam, a record label that was very prominent back in the day. LL Cool J, Jay-Z, a lot of rappers were at Def Jam at some point. And Russell had decided that he was going to, and the way the TV show was laid out was Russell was just doing business stuff. Every day he'd be in his office doing business. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this event. I'm going to do that, and the third. And he decided he was going to do a fundraiser. He needed to raise some money to do something. So first thing he said, oh, we need to raise some funds. How much money we need? He's talking to his staff. Staff's like, we need $400,000, some number they threw out. We need $400,000. Here's what Russell did not do. And here's what y'all got to understand. He did not say, all right, let me go open up my bank account and see if I got $400,000. That's not the way you do business. Well, as soon as you need money in business, the first thing you do is not go ask yourself if you have the money. First thing you say is, who has the money that can give me the money that I can go get this thing done? So what Russell does is he grabs his Rolodex. He starts making phone calls to people he knows who would give him a certain amount of money. Now, he wasn't going to ask anybody for $400K. What he's going to do is ask a bunch of people for, like, let's say 10, 15, 20K. So he gets Donald Trump on the phone. Russell and Donald Trump used to be friends. I don't know if they're cool anymore, but they were friends. So Russell calls Donald Trump on the phone. Mind you, this is all reality TV show, so I know it's played up a little bit, but I believe this was pretty much how it went. He gets Donald Trump on the phone. Trump answers the phone. Like, Russell, my dude, what's going on? How you doing? You know how Donald Trump talks. And Russell says, hey, I'm doing this fundraiser for XYZ. Donald Trump's like, oh, that's beautiful. And he says, it's going to be on this date and it's going to be happening in this town. And I'm going to be working with this person, this person, this person. Donald Trump says that sounds like a great idea, Russell. It's a beautiful idea, big, beautiful idea. Now Trump talks. And then Russell says, first off, I'm going to need to get $10,000 from you. Donald Trump says, done. And then he just keeps talking. Russell keeps talking about all the details of the event. He said, I need $10,000 from you. Trump said, done. 10,000, done. And it's basically your people call my people. I'll give you the 10,000. Now, why would Donald Trump give Russell Simmons $10,000 that easily? First of all, it's a tax write-off for him because it's a charitable donation. That's the reason why Russell framed it. Hey, I'm doing this fundraiser and it's for this, this, and this. So Trump automatically knows this is charity. What does that mean? It's the money he can save on his taxes. So remember Hillary Clinton tried to get Trump, but he didn't pay any taxes. Well, one of the reasons he didn't pay taxes because of this. He gives money to charity so that he doesn't have to pay taxes. So anyway, the whole point being, when you know people, you get business done. If you don't know anybody, you cannot be an effective business person. So Trump having dealings in the past with Qatar is the damn reason why he's able to get the plane. If he didn't know anybody in Qatar, they wouldn't be saying, we'll give you a plane. Would somebody give you $400 million and they don't know you? No, they give you money because they know you. Now, again, you being good is part of the deal, but you got to have a relationship on top of that. No relationship, no money. Next, DOJ and the White House counsel reportedly approved the arrangement. I just laid this out for you with Pam Bondi, who's the number one. She's the top lawyer in the country. She already said that this is good, and she explained why. I already explained it to you why. Is that they're not giving the plane to Donald Trump. They're giving the plane to Donald Trump as president. But Donald Trump as a person, being who he is part of the reason why Donald Trump, the president, can get what he gets. So this is where people are trying to say it's a gray area because he's using his personal position and his personal relationships to do business as a government official. And I say, of course he is. What the hell else is he supposed to do? That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to use your personal relationships to get things done in the business. That's what you're supposed to do. Now, the government is not necessarily a business the way Trump has businesses and Russell Simmons had a business. But one of the reasons why Trump can do what he does as president is because of the relationships he has. Again, could Joe Biden get Elon Musk in Doge? Could Barack Obama or George W. Bush or Bill Clinton get Elon Musk, some entrepreneur out there working in the government as a special government employee for 100 days when they got a whole bunch of important things they could be doing that ain't got nothing to do with the government? No. The reason why Trump was able to do that is because he had a relationship with Elon Musk. Without the relationship, none of these other things take place. Continuing. Critics argue that even legal gifts can erode public trust if the gifts appear unethical. Now, again, this is an argument that isn't really, thank you, CC Ruiz, for helping me with those goats over on TikTok, and everybody else who's been giving me the goats on TikTok. So critics argue legal gifts can erode public trust. This is it's a flimsy point. I mean, it's not really a right or wrong here that it can erode public trust. That word "can" always it introduces this kind of plausible deniability on anything that you say. You put the word "can" and you can say anything. All right, it can, yeah, it can, or is it actually happening is a whole different thing. Eroding public trust. What I would say when it comes to public trust around Donald Trump, there's already a bunch of people who don't, quote unquote, don't trust him because of who he is and because the way that his position, his presence rather, has been framed for the last 10 years. So there's already a bunch of people who don't, I guess you could say they don't trust Donald Trump. But I guarantee you one thing, if you need to get a business deal done and Donald Trump said, I'll make a phone call on your behalf, who you want me to call, I guarantee you would trust him then because Donald Trump knows a lot of people. And being president makes you even more known on top of the fact that he was already known before he got into politics. So yes, it can erode public trust. But again, where is this changing public trust? Where is this changing it? Now, they say that some people, even on the Republican side, let's say MAGA supporters or just conservatives, didn't like the fact that Trump's receiving this plane or the administration is receiving this plane because it makes it seem that it's kind of unethical. It's a gray area. I mean, I've already explained this. Maybe they will. I would say cry harder. What are you going to do? And he wanted the plane. They're gifting the plane. And he's going to, it seems like he's going to accept the plane. I don't know when this plane is supposed to arrive, but I would say, hey, he's leveraging his relationships, which is what you're supposed to do in business. Next, the aircraft, this alleged aircraft is coming from the Qatari government. It modernizes U.S. executive transport without relying on delayed Boeing deliveries, which we already addressed. So the Boeing company, for whatever reason, taking too damn long to send the plane, and it modernizes executive transport. So in other words, this plane is supposed to be better than anything that our government at our pace was going to come up with. The Qatari government came up with something better. So people should be happy. And I mean, this point doesn't really matter that much. I mean, how many of us are ever going to actually fly on Air Force One? Probably very few of us will ever actually get on the plane, unless any of you have ideas of running for president. And even if so, maybe one person out of everybody who's ever going to hear what I'm saying right now is ever going to get on the plane. So generally, I don't really give a damn. And it's not really about me caring about the plane itself because I ain't flying on the plane. I ain't president. Next, the timing of the gift. During Trump's campaign or during his administration makes it look like a geopolitical favor. Okay. And that's my response to that. Okay. And let's say that this is a geopolitical favor. The Qatari government did a favor to the American government during the tenure of a president who they already had a personal business relationship with before he became president. So it looks like it might be a geopolitical favor. I say, so what? Again, when someone is named to a leadership position, ladies and gentlemen, whether it is a CEO, whether it's a CEO of a company, whether it's the head of a church, whether it's a community organizer, whether it's someone who's working at the city level in government or the president of the United States, One of the main reasons that person gets chosen is because they can, or people hope that they will be able to get certain things done based on who they were before they got to the leadership position. Do y'all understand this? It's who you were before you got here. Does that play a role in whether you get chosen to be here? The answer is yes. A CEO gets chosen for a company, not just because they have this grand vision of how to be a CEO. They probably do. Not because they wrote a book, even if they did. Not because they have shown superior leadership skills. They probably have. But because they know people and they have certain ideas. How are you going to get that idea done? How are you going to do that? How are you going to do that? Notice when every president runs in their campaign and they start throwing out all the stuff they're going to do, the media starts eventually questioning them. Okay, you said you're going to do this, this, this. How are you going to do this? Don't they always get asked that? How are you going to do it? And what is usually their answer? I mean, it's not like the president says, I'm personally going to go do it myself, because the president has 1,000 different jobs. They can't do everything themselves. They say, I'm going to have these people. I'm going to have this team. I'm going to have this person working with me. This person's going to be involved. What did Donald Trump tell you when he was in his campaign? He told you. He said, I'm going to have Tulsi helping me with national security. He said, I'm going to have RFK helping me with health. He said, I'm going to have, I don't know if you mentioned Pam Bondi, but she's going to be the legal person. I'm going to have Elon. He's going to help us find all the corruption and the money in the government. He was telling you all the people who are going to help him do all the stuff that he said he was going to do. Now, again, how was he able to make these promises? Because he got those people to show up and say, hey, he was Mr. President by this point. I'm going to help you. I'll help you if you would like me to help you. I'll serve at the pleasure. And he was able to say, look at all these people I'm going to bring with me to get the job done. The relationships matter. So this being a geopolitical favor, I say, so what? There's nothing wrong with geopolitical favors. We give, as the United States of America, you know how many geopolitical favors we give every single day to countries that many of us have never even heard of? We couldn't even point out on the map. You know how much money we're giving to these countries every day? So there's nothing wrong with the geopolitical favor. So we're allowed to give them out with money that comes out of your pockets from your tax dollars. We give them out to other countries all day, every day. But as soon as another country wants to give us a favor, all of a sudden there's a big deal and a problem. How is that? How much money does the U.S. send out every year to other countries that most of you could not name, let alone most of you couldn't point out on a map, let alone could you name them? And we're giving money away to them as a favor because they ain't doing nothing for us. What are they doing for us? What are these countries that we're giving money to doing for us? Nothing that any of you is feeling the effects of. But as soon as they want to give a gift to the United States, a favor to the United States that, again, none of us is feeling the effects of because we don't ride on Air Force One, now people are acting like this is some crazy problem. I reject this concept. The only reason people are acting like this is a crazy problem is because of who it's going to. This is going to Barack Obama. Yeah, there'd be some people making some noise about it, but not nearly as much as they're making about it with Donald Trump. And we already know why this is. The frame has already been set around Trump that whatever he does or anything that happens around him or that's even near him in his orbit, people are going to make a big deal out of it, which I ain't mad about, because if that wasn't happening, then I wouldn't be talking about this right now. We'd be talking about something else. So Qatar offering this jet could signal, this is a positive point, it could signal stronger diplomatic ties with a key ally in the Middle East, which may be a good thing for the United States of America because that area of the world, the United States has had some issues with them. You know, we had the Gulf issue back in the early 90s, not an issue, a war in the early 90s. And then we went back over there in 2003 behind George W. Bush. So we had some issues with that area of the world. And there are people in that area of the world, depending on what you want to believe, that a lot of the terrorism and et cetera that has come into the United States and other parts of the world are coming from that area. So if we can have a positive relationship with whoever and whatever is happening in that area, that will lead to ostensibly more peace in the entirety of the world, which would be a good deal. Isn't that a good thing? And we just have more peace and we're not at odds with that area of the world. Again, Qatar is its own country, but they are in that area. They're in the Middle East. And we've had a lot of issues in the Middle East over the last 30 plus years that I don't think any American wants that coming back to our soil, nor do we want our soldiers, which are either us, some of you who are young enough, and our children. We don't want them being sent off to do battle in those areas because we know not everybody's going to come back. So if Donald Trump is a person who has some positive relationships with some people in that place, regardless of how he got the positive relationship, let's just say it came from doing business outside of being president of the United States. And that leads to more peace for us in America, so that there are less terrorist attacks in America, less threat to terrorist attacks in America. We are less on anxiety, less anxious, because we're not worried about someone doing something to us here or people in other countries. Any of you know people in other countries. And there's less chance that we have to send our young men and women off to battle to fight against those countries. How is this a bad thing? If all of this is sourced from the fact that our president did business as a businessman with those areas, and because of that, now we have less terrorism and less wars, and we're sending fewer of our young men and women off to war, how is that a bad thing? How? I think that's a positive. That's great. I'm glad we got a president who has some relationships that he got not from working in the government. He got some relationships that he can call on that have nothing to do with his governmental position, what they do now, but he has relationships that have nothing to do with his governmental position because he built them before that, and he brings them with him into this administration, and it helps us as a people. So this is a great thing. All of our conflicts, if we think about it, over the last 30 years, so let's just go back to the George H.W. Bush administration, where we had the Gulf War in 1992. Around that time, the Gulf War in the 90s, early 90s. All right, that was in the Middle East. Then 10 years later, after 9/11, George W. Bush, we sent a whole bunch of troops to where? The Middle East. And those are the two places we had conflicts. Those two places. That's where the conflicts have been. So if Donald Trump can lessen all of that and ease the tension there and lead to some positivity, that's a beautiful thing. And the Qatari government gifting Donald Trump and the administration a $400 million airplane sounds like a gesture of peace. It sounds like a peace gesture. I don't think you give a $400 million gift to someone if you are not feeling positive about them. And some people say, well, maybe it's a Trojan horse. They're just doing that to soften the United States government up. I don't think so, but we'll put it out there just in case some people do think that. I'm sure there's some people who do believe that. But let's move on. Some say this move might set a dangerous precedent of foreign governments currying favor with U.S. leaders. A dangerous precedent of foreign governments currying favor with U.S. leaders. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It depends on what you're going to do with the favor. That's how I feel. Depends on what you're going to do with the favor. So let's just say that a foreign government, name a country, let's say Brazil, they give a gift to a U.S. leader, such as the president, and now because of that, they have a positive relationship with, or at least they think they have a positive relationship with the U.S. government, which means maybe they can get away with something. They can ask for a favor in exchange, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe they can ask for some money. Maybe they can get leniency from the government if the government decides to come down hard on them. I say to that, so what? Are any of you new to business? This is literally the way business works. The way business works, folks, is all about, I said this, I'm going to say this 10 times today. It's all about relationships. So if a foreign government curries favor with the U.S. government, they should curry favor with us. Do you know how many favors we've been giving out for the last 70 years to other governments? Again, most of y'all don't even know where all this money is going. It's coming from you. I tell you where it's coming from, but you don't know where it's going. We curry favor all day with a whole bunch of countries that ain't doing nothing back for us. Donald Trump has said this many times. We have all these trade deals and all this money we're giving away to these countries who are doing absolutely nothing for us. So these countries understand that as long as Trump is in, they are not going to, that the well is getting shut off. We're shutting off the faucet of just giving y'all stuff for nothing. We are going to keep giving you something for nothing. It's the third law of economics. No such thing as something for nothing. We have been violating that law for decades by giving something to these other countries and getting nothing back in exchange. And Donald Trump says, no, we're going to operate by actual laws of economics, which is if we give you something, you got to give us something. And if you keep giving us nothing, we're going to take the something we've been giving you and we're going to reduce it down to nothing. What's wrong with this? Who has a problem with this and why? Again, these are simple laws of economics, ladies and gentlemen. We've been violating these laws. It's the reason why the United States government is $37 trillion in debt, because we've been violating the laws of economics. Do y'all understand how this all makes sense when you actually think about it? So let me find that U.S. debt clock and let's see exactly how much debt we are in right now. I haven't checked this in a few weeks. So the last time I checked, all right, so we're creeping up on 37 trillion. We're still at 36 officially. 36 trillion, 852 billion. So 36 trillion with a trillion, 852 billion, 406 million, and 500,000. And the number's climbing so fast that I can't even read the number because it's going so fast. So here's the U.S. national debt. Any of you never seen this website? It's usdebtclock.org. See how fast that number is going? That red number? That's the debt that we're in right now. We're just riling up and raising up debt, bringing up debt moment by moment by moment. The Doge clock is working to go in the opposite direction. And they say, according to this website, the Doge clock savings per taxpayer is $3,857 since Doge started doing what it did. It saved everybody $3,857 since Doge started doing their thing. And Doge is still working. So the number is going up, but that savings per taxpayer takes a while for it to spread out amongst 330 million people, or however many people are paying taxes. The debt per citizen is $107,000 in the United States. Debt per taxpayer is $323,000. So if you pay taxes in the United States of America, the national debt spread out just to you is $323,050 right now. And I'm bringing all this up to say this. The reason why we are in the position we're in terms of the U.S. debt is because the people who have been running the government for the last 60 years, none of them were entrepreneurs. Donald Trump's an entrepreneur, and he's trying to undo the nonsense by actually working by actual laws of economics. First three laws of economics are supply and demand. Second law of economics is, I forget it off the top of my head. The third, I'll get back to it in a second. The third law of economics is that there are no free lunches. Everything has a cost. And I just was talking about this several days ago, so I forgot what I'll ring it up for you right now. I don't know why I forgot the second law. So the first law is the law of supply and demand. The second law, the law of diminishing marginal return. Yes, that's what it is. I did a whole live stream talking about this, but I forgot it. Diminishing marginal returns. That means the more you put into a fixed resource, eventually it starts to get into a worse position. There's only so much you can keep adding to something before you start taking away from it. It's like souping up a car. It's like you buy a Honda Civic and you start souping up the Civic. So you put some rims on it, you put a stereo system in there, you put some TVs in it. Eventually, there's only so many things you could do to a Honda Civic before the car starts to look ridiculous. So you might have to get a different car, a different resource before you keep adding on to the resource. Then the third law is what we talked about, is that there are no free lunches. The United States has been giving out free lunches for a long time to other countries. Donald Trump said, we're not going to give out free lunches anymore, and his opponents went crazy. He said, we're going to bring in Elon Musk to find out what are these free lunches, how much free lunch are we giving away, we're going to stop. His opponents went crazy. Donald Trump says, we're going to finally get other countries to start giving us lunch since we've been giving them lunch for so long. His opponents are going crazy. All he's doing is operating by the laws of economics. That's all he's doing. And this tells you why most people don't know anything when it comes to money and finance and economics, because as soon as he starts operating by the laws, people act like he's doing something crazy. When in fact, it's them who's doing something crazy. It's him who's doing the right thing. And they're acting like he's the one who's wrong, because most people don't understand economics. But again, the first three laws of economics are actually very simple. I'll just explain them to you. All of you have heard of supply and demand. Most of you aren't familiar with diminishing marginal returns, but when I explain it, it should make sense to you. Another example of it is if you're eating food because you're hungry, that's great. But if you keep eating even after you're no longer hungry, what happens to you? You get sick, you start to feel bloated, you start to gain weight, and you start to get into worse shape because your body is a fixed resource. There's only so much food you can put inside of one human body. No matter how big you are, the more food you eat is going to have an adverse effect. That's the law of diminishing marginal returns. You can't keep adding on to a fixed resource without hurting the resource. And then the third one is no free lunches. Everything has a cost, also known as trade-offs, also known as opportunity costs. The United States has been giving shit away without getting anything back. Donald Trump's been saying this since 2016. So anyway, Trump claims that the transaction is fully transparent and it benefits the country, not just him. Because, again, it's Air Force One. So Trump's not on the plane by himself. So it benefits everybody because he gets a higher level plane that, I guess, allows Trump and his team to arrive in style wherever they go. I mean, it sounds fine to me. I'm not riding an Air Force One. And next, opponents say this is a backdoor way for Trump to receive, lavish personal assets. I reject this concept. I reject this point. They say this is just a backdoor way for him to receive lavish personal assets. I say Trump was already noted to be a billionaire, quote unquote billionaire, before he became president. So if he wants to receive lavish personal assets, number one, he can buy them himself. What can you not buy when you're a billionaire? And number two, he can receive a lavish personal asset just based off his business relationships without needing to be president in order to get it. Now, he might not get an Air Force One airplane, but he can get other things. I'm sure he already got it. I mean, didn't y'all see him coming down a gold escalator 10 years ago? I mean, I think the guy has been pretty lavish already without having to be president. He can be as lavish as he wants to be if he can afford it. So I don't think this is a way for him to receive lavish personal assets. Again, why can't he get it on his own? It looked like he was living pretty lavish before he became president. What do y'all think? I don't think his lavish lifestyle began when he started making $400,000 a year as president. Anyway, refusing the gifts could be seen as a rejecting a valuable contribution during a period of need. And again, need Air Force One. I'm sure Air Force One is a beautiful plane as it currently stands, but Trump is looking for an upgrade. And hey, if that's what he wants, is what he wants. I mean, we elected the guy, so if that's what he wants, is what he wants. And if someone's offering that contribution, again, as I told y'all earlier, what Donald Trump said, someone gives you a putt, you say thank you, you pick it up, and you walk to the next hole. You don't sit there and argue, hey, don't give me this gift. I don't want to accept this gift. You take the gift. Someone offers you a gift, you take the gift. Now, again, I just told you that there's no such thing as a free lunch. So what has Donald Trump done to, with, or for the Qatari government in the past that would lead him doing this? Again, this is where all the relationships come in. Pam Bondi has a relationship. Trump has done business with these folks. So there must be a reason why the Qatari government wants to give him this plane. He's probably done some good things for them in the past. So they're willing to help him out. And maybe they're just making a payment right now for something they're going to ask for in the future, which is, again, how business works, ladies and gentlemen. Any of you didn't know, now you know. All right, so any of you who are surprised by this concept that business works based off of positive relationships between people, it is not just about who's good and who's not good. All right, let me let you in on the secret. All right, this is not Sesame Street. This is not Barney and Friends. Just being good alone is not enough in the business and professional world. Any of you who works in a professional world, any of you who's an entrepreneur, all of you should know this very well. If you don't know it consciously, you have noticed it unconsciously, and now I'm bringing it to your consciousness by bringing it up to you. If you want to get more things done in business, you need to know more people. You need more people to know you, and you need to know more people. I'll tell you something about my business. Every single day, literally every single day, we are doing some form of outreach, relationship building, and connection with people who we either already know and we're just keeping up with them, or people who we don't know and we're trying to build relationships and connection with them. Why do we do this? Because even though I know I'm good at what I do, like I'm doing this right here, this is just me by myself talking to you all. I could do this all day and I'm pretty good at it. If nobody else who has power or leverage or resources or access or money or customers, if nobody else knows me being good alone is not enough. There's only so far I can go just by being good by myself. And this applies to all of you, by the way. Even if you work at a job, even if you work at a company, if you have any aspirations of advancing, you got to get the right relationships in place. That'll allow you to go a lot further, a lot faster with no change in ability. Take your same level of ability. If I took my same level of ability and I had access to Donald Trump's Rolodex, I could make 10 times more money just because of the people I know. Same skill set, just knowing more people. So you want to use relationships. You want to have relationships. You want to continue to build and nurture relationships every single day in your business. If I would tell you the first thing you need to work on when you first become a pro at what you do is work on your skill, work on your game, and be actually good at what you do. Be good. So you need to get to a certain level of actual ability at what you do. After that, then what you want to start working on is building relationships and connections. Because with the right relationship and connection, that same skill set can produce 10x the return in the right place. In marketing, we call that placement strategy. All that out the way. What I'm going to do, someone has said that's how bribes work. Well, you can call it a bribe, but I don't think it's a bribe. It depends on the way you want to look at it. You could take a favor or something that I'm doing for you and you're doing something for me. You could call it a bribe if you want to frame it negatively, but you also call it relationships being how business works. You call it that at the same time. It generally is called what it actually is, which is politics. Politics with a lowercase p. So politics with a capital P is like the government, president, et cetera, et cetera. Politics with a lowercase p is the following. Politics means the actions that people take to protect or defend or advance their own personal interests through leveraging relationships with others. That's the definition of politics. So with that definition in mind, there's no one listening to this who does not leverage politics. And if you're not, or actually, let me back up. If you are not leveraging politics at all, then you are limiting your reach. You're limiting the reach of your abilities and the reach of your success. you always want to leverage relationships through other people. And again, you don't have to be some wheeling and dealing business person to leverage relationships. If you're a parent and you have kids and you know other parents who have kids, and sometimes they will watch your kids and sometimes you will drive their kids to the soccer game or to school, that is politics. You are leveraging their relationship because they trust you. They'll let their kids get in your car and get driven to school. And because you trust them, you'll let your kids go to their house and play with their kids. That is politics, ladies and gentlemen. If you're not doing that, you're probably off living in the woods somewhere by yourself and you're only interacting with no bears and deer. You're probably not listening to this because you ain't got no internet access. So all of you are leveraging politics. You're either leveraging it on purpose or you're leveraging it by accident. I would suggest you start doing it on purpose. And if you are ambitious and you have big goals, you should start leveraging it not only on purpose, but highly intentionally so that you can move yourself forward faster. That's one of the main things that I do. I just told you, one of the main things I do in business is I look to leverage relationships. All right, who do I need to know? Who do I need to make them know me? And knowing that I have the game already, who do I have to put this game in front of to better help myself move forward? Because I'm going to help them, they're going to help me. All right, that's the way the game works. Does everybody understand this? If you didn't understand, now you know. All that out the way. I do need to take a quick restroom trip. I'm going to go to the bathroom real quick. And then when I come back, this will take me no more than 90 seconds. We will continue where we were. So what should we listen to here today? I'll let you listen to a little bit of, let me see if I can find something on X that I can play, but I can't play. All right, so I'm going to let y'all hear this video of this guy. You know, this rapper Tory Lanez who got arrested for allegedly firing his weapon and hitting his girlfriend, Meg Thee Stallion. So he allegedly got stabbed in prison recently. And here's this guy on here. He's explaining why Tory Lanez got stabbed, according to what he says. Okay, this is what he says. I'm going to let y'all hear this. It takes a minute and 41 seconds. I'll be back before this is over. Then we're going to get into the question and answer session. So give me 90 seconds. I'm going to let y'all hear this guy explain why Tory Lanez got stabbed in jail. And then we'll get into the Q&A.
Once again, I got to hit you guys with some crazy information. So I did a little digging. And this is about Tory Lanez. This is the person that stabbed him in Tehachapi State Prison. And I'll tell you guys why. Now, the video I did before was just saying that there was a false narrative going on about a Mexican trying to extort him and make him pay taxes, and everybody ran with that theory. I said, no, it was personal. Now, if a Mexican was to do it, it was, yada, yada, yada. But the reason this took place is this dude was a nice guy, respectful inmate, got into a lot of trouble, though. He stabbed a couple inmates in prison. He's doing life without the possibility of parole for 2 murders. And he was in education. He was working in the educational department, respectful, but he happened to be Tory Lanez's neighbor. And at visit, he was flirtatious with his wife. And his wife immediately told her husband. And they went back, got confrontational, and Tory Lanez was on the tier saying that he was going to F his wife because she likes black dudes. That's what really happened. And I had to go do some digging. People kept asking me to go look it up, and I made contact with Tehachapi State Prison to finally get the story down because a lot of people kept saying it was black on black. And he tried to get a black DP'd and all that, and he was paying other people for protection to have other people in and trying to be the shot caller on the yard. Then I heard Mexicans did it, and I was like, now let me just get to the bottom of it since everybody's throwing like 202 stories about it. But
all right, so that's what happened to Tory Lanez. So let's get into the Q&A session here. I don't see anything over on Rumble Studio. Let me see. Not over there. Can't see anything on LinkedIn. Didn't see anything Instagram. So TikTok, y'all are up next. I'm going to scroll up to the top, so as far up as I can go, and then we'll take it from there. Miss Tate said that money giving is over. Well, they're trying to make it over. We'll see. Steven said, what is it going to cost to convert it to Air Force One? Well, I'm thinking from what I've surmised from the story, Steven, is that it's going to come already set the way it's supposed to be. Mr. Ohio J said, right, then we just give money to a foreign country to fight a war. Give, you're saying it like this past tense. We're giving it to them right now. We still giving money to that country, the U country. We're giving money to the U country to fight the R country. And the U country is kind of a pawn in the middle of this game. It's really us against the R country, but we're using the U country as a proxy. Carlos said we would have to check every bolt, weld, rivet. Yeah, exactly. Yes. Well, that's what's going to have to happen. Miss Tate said, "Are you on YouTube?" Yes. The link to my YouTube is in my profile on TikTok. User said, "Corruption happens with gifts, not charity." Well, you can call a gift charity, depending on the way you frame it. A gift and charity are the same thing. Jen K said, "Well said, thank you." Ryan said, "Bro, did you see the comments from Trump in 2016 about receiving gifts from these same countries?" No, I didn't, Ryan. But bro, have you ever paid attention to politics in the United States of America? Don't believe anything a politician says, because they all have to lie in order to win. So I don't take anything a politician says at face value. El Coco said, "Also, not enough people talking about Air Force One issues. Or what are the issues with Air Force One?" Let me see if I can find out what those are. What are the issues that Trump has with Air Force One that caused him to want or need a new airplane? And will the new plane from the Qatari government already come equipped the way it's supposed to be for Air Force One standards? Question mark. All right, so I'm asking ChatGPT about the issues with Air Force One since it got brought up. All right, while we're waiting, let me answer a couple more questions. Birdman for president says, "Yes, sir." Miss Tate said, "What other platform are you on?" I'm on every platform, Miss Tate. Name a platform, I'm on it. Only one that is probably popular that I'm not on Twitch, but I'm on everything else. So I'm here on TikTok. I'm on X, YouTube, LinkedIn, Rumble, Facebook. What else is there? Let's see. Jorge said the U.S. went for oil only. Hey, maybe they did. So, all right. So the challenge with the current Air Force One fleet. So let's see this. I didn't know about this. But let's see what it says. The existing Air Force One planes are over 30 years old, which means they've been around since the 90s. So this is the Clinton administration, leading to increased maintenance challenges and outdated technology. Delays in replacement. So the Boeing's development of the new aircraft, the delivery expected between 2027 and 2029. So Trump might not even be president anymore by the time they get finished. In my experience, when a business tells you something could be between one point and another point, is usually the latter point. It's usually later rather than sooner. Then cost overruns. The replacement has experienced cost overruns, adding to the administration's frustration with Boeing. So the Qatari offer. So the security risks we already talked about, advanced communication systems, defensive measures. They got to retrofit the plane, could be costly and time consuming. We already talked about the legal and ethical stuff and the bipartisan opposition. So they are in the U.S. it's already in the U.S. So the plane is already here, allegedly, and is undergoing evaluations for potential retrofitting. So basically they got to edit the inside of the plane to make it what it has to be. So the administration stated any use of the plane will comply with legal requirements. We already talked about that. And again, Trump has already done a press briefing answering these questions. So it's an old plane, basically, long story short. I guess Air Force One, they look at that the same way they look at like a stadium in sports. The stadium been around for 30 years is old. So let's see. Bourbon for president says, "Am I running for office?" Hell no, I'm not running for office. I've given many explanations as why I would not. Number one, I don't like lying for a living. To be a politician, you got to lie for a living. Number two, I don't want donors telling me what to do, because if I take their money, then they get to, in some ways, tell me what to do. I don't want to deal with that. Number three, no matter what you do, half the people are going to hate you. Stephen said, "All this book behind you, you have no knowledge of what's actually happening in front of you." I disagree, Stephen. Emo said, "A gift is a gift. What's the problem? At least it's not our taxes paying for it." Yes, exactly. Waylon says, "I'm fairly certain George H.W. Bush has substantial ties with the Middle East." Well, every president should have some ties with them, because we gotta work with them. You want to have some relationships anywhere you have to work. That's pretty much how it works. So people are asking about YouTube. Yes, I'm on YouTube. I got more than one YouTube channel. Just look up my name. My name is Dre Baldwin, DREBALDWIN. I got probably 15,000 videos on YouTube all told. Prime Deal says this isn't a business. Well, it is a business. U.S. government is not a traditional business, but it is still a business. Definition of a business is an entity that is exchanging in commerce and financial exchanges, or engaging, in commerce and financial exchanges. The United States government is very much a business. E30 Migo said, "Run the country as a business." Yeah. Jen K said I'm 100% correct, and Prime Deal said I'm 100% wrong. So which one is it? So Prime Deal said you don't understand economics. I understand economics very well. I'm not an economist, but I understand economics very well. What I've explained about economics, I understand. Now, you may understand some other things about economics, which is fine. If you really know it, then you should be doing a live stream explaining it to people who would like to hear what you have to say. Cece says, great perspective. Got to go. Thank you. Thank you, Cece. Thank you for those gifts you sent earlier, too. Bridge, thank you for the follow. Tiger Tail said it was beautiful. Saudis 3 jets on both sides of Air Force One to escort Trump. Okay, yeah, I didn't see it. I was looking for pictures of it, but I didn't see it. But I'll find it. Maybe I'll find it later. Waylon says Congress doesn't want to touch the gift for some reason, even though it's undeniably their job. Well, the way it's set up is that they didn't have to go through Congress. I think Trump likes to get things done without going through Congress. I think that's pretty obvious by now. Steven said Doge is fraudulent. Some say. I talked about Doge a lot at the beginning of his administration. Joe said issues people are choosing economy over humanity. That's an appeal to emotion fallacy. You can use that on pretty much any subject. Conscious Girl says the plan has been to bankrupt the U.S. for the last 100 years. This is a long-range plan. By who? Who set up the plan? Devin says Statue of Liberty was a gift as well. Yeah, I've heard people bring that up. Bus Rope said, how come he didn't fix it in 2016? Why did debt go up so much at that point? Well, ask some people who pay everyday attention to politics. They'll probably answer that question. And depending on who you ask, you'll get completely different answers. That's the interesting thing about politics. Depending on who you ask, you get a completely different answer to the exact same question. But that's not the topic here today. So you're asking me something that's not the topic. Well, Heck said 1 trillion seconds is 32,000 years. That should put our debt into perspective. Okay, there you go. Miss Tate said, you're looking slick this morning, sir. Thank you, Miss Tate. Tiger Tail said the U.S. got over $16 billion from tariffs just in the month of April. Is that true? Conscious Girl said, this is about print money backed by nothing and fill your bank account as much as possible. Well, what is this? What are you referring to? Karen says expected profit on tariffs $419 billion as opposed to the usual $80 billion. Okay, news to me. I didn't know about that. Miss Tate said Elon said we're going to be bankrupt. We don't change how we spend our money. Well, that we already know. Actually, we're already kind of bankrupt. United States is already bankrupt. It's just we're still getting by because of our reputation. Right now, we're living off reputation. Crockett said, why are you lying? They're not taking away children's lunches. Dems love lying with a smile on your face. Am I a Dem? I don't think I'm a Dem. So in the same live stream, I'll get accused of being MAGA and accused of being a Democrat with the exact same statement. And I didn't say anything about children's lunches. I said there are no free lunches. No free lunches. Crockett is a metaphor. I didn't mean it literally. So I think you're responding to something that I said metaphorically. You responded to it literally. So TikTok said my live visibility is restricted because it contains unoriginal or reproduced content. This is in line with your For You feed eligibility. All right, so I guess I shouldn't have played that guy's video. So, all right, so I got to stop playing people's videos in these lives. So in the future, I'm just going to play clips from my own podcast so that we don't run into this problem. So that's the second time that happened. Manchester King said that's why the debt ceiling is being raised in the next budget. Interesting. Well, there's a lot of reasons why it's being raised, but you can point to one thing if you want, which is what the media does and politicians do, but it's often several factors. It's called a multivariate problem. So most problems in the government, as large a bureaucracy as it is that every problem is a multivariate problem, which means there's like 30 factors going into everything that happens. But a politician who's trying to make their other side look bad or trying to make their side look good, or a media person with the same interests, they try to make every issue seem like it's a one variate problem, a single variate problem. Like, oh, this is only happening because of this, or this is only happening because of this. When actually the reason anything happens is because of several things that most people can't even grasp because it will require you getting the complete context. So this is the game of politics. This is the reason why I wouldn't really want to be in this game, because everybody's kind of, it's like this, who's better at lying? That's pretty much what it comes down to. Because if you told people the complete truth, you would lose their attention, because they would have to sit there and listen to the entire context. Most people don't want to do that. Ms. Tate said, I heard it was for DOD. Yes, that's what they're saying. That's what they're framing. Brandon said he doesn't get to keep it. Yes, exactly. Tiger Tail said, I love the lavender carpet rolled out. Is that what they did? Karen said, Biden sending money to other countries, Trump getting money. Well, what money did he get? It's actually it's unconstitutional for him to receive money. So if he received money, you should report it to the government. Carlos said, let's do an audit and check everyone for receiving gifts. I mean, again, if you want to hide a gift, you can find a way to hide it. That's pretty much how it goes. Safe Space said, so you're for Trump or against? Neither. I am completely neutral when it comes to politics. I have no political side. I have no political affiliations. I do not work for any political party. Never received $1 from any political party to promote or attack anyone. So I'm neither side. Good question. Lee and Lisa said we need an upgrade for AF1 security. Okay, so security is another part of it. E30 said that's an old plane. By the time we got a new one. Okay. BFC said, I believe he's the only president that take a salary. Every president gets a salary. Actually, Donald Trump's not taking his salary. I think that's what you meant to say. Brandon said, AF1 and 2 need repairs. A new plane will cost taxpayer money. I'll take a free plane. Yes, exactly. That was Trump's frame. Like, they offer you something free, just take it. Why not? Tiger Tail said, President Trump has my vote. All right, great. Well, he had your vote. I mean, he's not running for anything else, I don't think. Qatar wants good relations with the United States, says E30. Yeah, everybody wants good relations with the United States except the C country and our country. Everybody else wants good relations with us. Constance Girl said, Trump is going to bankrupt this country like he did his own business. You should hope that he doesn't do that. I mean, people be saying that like you would be happy if that happens. Don't you live here? Why would you want? I can see if you could be happy if he bankrupted his own business, because that doesn't affect you. But if he bankrupts the country, that affects you. So I don't understand why people who don't like Trump are saying things like this as if you want it to happen just to prove yourself right. But it's going to hurt you. So it's like cutting off your nose to spite your face. Why would you hope for that? I don't understand that level of, I can't even call it logic. That's the exact opposite of logic. Karen said, isn't a gift for Trump was given to the country? Yes. Well, again, the framing is the whole argument here. So we're at 48,000 likes here, folks. Can we get to 50K? Can we get to 50,000 likes, ladies and gentlemen? Cornholio said, bro, that's how bribes work. Again, you can call it a bribe. You can call it a gift. You can call it a charitable donation. You can call it leveraging relationships. You can take the exact same thing and call it any one of those, depending on how you want to frame it. Sold by Misty says, straight facts. Thank you. Karen says, stock market is up. Well, in the big picture of life, the stock market always goes up. In the big picture, for people who are patient investors and you don't go looking at the numbers every day, the stock market is always going up. In the big picture. Mike Shenanigans says, talking fast, don't make what you're saying right according to the Constitution. So I believe we got to call this the straw man of the day. Here we got the straw man of the day, everybody. Straw man of the day by Life Shenanigans. Life Shenanigans with the straw man of the day. The comment again is, talking fast does not make what you are saying right according to the Constitution. This is a lightweight straw man fallacy, but it is a straw man, so we got to point it out. So yeah, just because I'm talking fast does not make what I'm saying right according to the Constitution. Technically, you are correct, but the fact that I'm talking fast is not about me saying what's right according to the Constitution. I said Pam Bondi, whose job it is to enforce the Constitution as the top lawyer in the country, known as the Attorney General, she said that it's right, and she explained why it's right. So if you want to argue, then you argue with Pam Bondi about what she filed, not what I said. Dally MAK said, tap the screen, let's get the 50K likes. So we just passed 50. Can we get the 60, folks? It's like an auction. Can we get the 60,000 likes here today? We're at 51,000. Thank you, everybody. R. Philly said, business equals the presidency with a question mark. All right, that's a straw man too. This is straw man number 2 of the day. Business equals the presidency. So what a straw man is when you take something that I didn't say, you rephrase it into something that I did say. What I did not say was that business equals the presidency. This is a poorly formatted straw man, but still a straw man. And Donald Trump has a background as a businessman. And because of that, he understands the laws of economics, because whether he could explain them or not, he understands them, because you have to unconsciously work by the laws of economics when you're running a business. And he does understand it. That's why one of the things he always harped on was we have these trade deals where we're giving, but we are not receiving in anything close to the level at which we are giving. So we need to change this. Tiger Tail said Paris paid $16 billion to the USA in the month of April. Consul said no politician is supposed to accept gifts while in office is against the law. Yes, well, he didn't. The administration accepted the gift, not him personally. So again, this is the crux of the entire argument is it he personally receiving the gift, or is the administration receiving the gift? That's what it all comes down to. Robert said it's 400 million, not 700 million. Why spread lies just to make it seem worse? No, according to reports, it is worth anywhere between 400 and 700 million. That's according to official reports. Robert O'Connell. And I'm not trying to make it seem worse. And again, who cares if it's 400 or 700 million? What real difference does that make when it comes to the conversation? The conversation is not about the dollar amount of the plane. The conversation is about, can Trump accept this plane as president, or is this a bribe or a gift he's receiving as an individual person while being president? That's what the conversation is really about. Let's not split hairs over details that are generally irrelevant to the main point of the conversation. Steely Stan said, failed by enforcing the C country to adhere to trade agreement with a question mark. I don't know what you're referring to, but the C country is not a topic here today. I will not do a live on TikTok talking about the C country. I will tell you all that right now. So they're not the topic. Lee and Lisa said, it's not what you know, is who you know. Yes, that's true. Part of it is what you know. About 20% of it is what you know. 80% is who you know. 80-20 principle. Tiger Tail said, relationship building. That's right. Constance Girl said, you making all these excuses for an old white man with 37 felonies is laughable. Well, Constance Girl, this is, what would we call this? This is an ad hominem, and then you put crying emojis at the end. So this is an appeal to ridicule, an attempt at appeal to ridicule. It's really an attempt to get attention, which worked because I'm reading your comment. And there's a bit of a straw man as well. So you had 3 fallacies in one statement. Well done. So let's point out the fallacies here. So making excuses. And I'm not making any excuses, because if I didn't do this live stream, everything that is happening right now would still be happening. So there's no excuses that need to be made. And excuses required when you need to explain something to someone. I don't work for the Trump administration, nor do I work for Donald Trump himself. And if I didn't talk about this, everything that I've talked about would still exist. So there's no excuse. Excuse is only required when you owe someone an explanation. I owe no one an explanation for anything. An old white man, what does that have to do with anything? The fact that he's an old white man, nothing at all. So that's the ad hominem. You're just bringing the fact that he's an old white man as a way of, I don't know, making him look bad, I guess, with 37 felonies. Who cares he got 37 felonies? All right. It didn't stop him from winning the presidency, which was the whole point of it in the first place. So, and then the crying emojis is the appeal to ridicule. So, Conscious Girl, you're going to have to come with some substance if you want any more attention in these lives. But there, you just got some. So, Fitzgerald said, you have to grease the palms sometimes, my friend. That's part of the game. E30 said, bribing. I guess Christmas gifts shouldn't be acceptable, right? Because of the gift, as in Qatar. Yeah, I mean, that's one way of looking at it. Fernando said, nah, this okay. What about the millions of dollars we can't find when we first passed the U country bill? Yeah, exactly. Call me King Human said, you politicking all the time at work. Yes, you are. Lee Scott Charles, well said. Thank you. Big Worm said, Murph, don't rely on others to raise your kids. Be dad, be a parent. What does that mean? I don't know what that means. Salvador said, Trump paid the Qatar government with jets. We lost. Okay. Fernando, network is net worth. Big Worm says, sounds like single father. What are you talking about? Fernando, no, where's that comment at? I lost my spot. Right, let me find my spot again. I'm just reading through the comments right now on TikTok. All right, so Jeremiah said, thank you for you and all. Can't wait to see y'all. And where you going to see us? E30 said, well, he got what he was coming. What does that mean? Rico said, Dre, your YouTube video changed my game. That's great. Congrats. Big Worm said, Trump saved the USA and people still disgusted about it. Well, some people say he destroyed the USA. So that's the interesting thing about him. Alex Cortez said, liberals are against peace. They only want chaos. Some do say that. Big Worm said, well, if Google didn't tell him, it's not true. Well, what does that mean? Matt said, that's Air Force One plane till the new one is built, not Trump's. Matt said, quit causing diversity. What does that mean? Me and Lisa said, try using Grok instead of ChatGPT. No, I like ChatGPT better. Discord, Nate King mentioned, yeah, I'm not on Discord. So I'm not on Discord. I'm not on Twitch. But I think I'm on everything else that most people know about. Kit TX, well, Carlos said, what's up with Boeing? Why they taking so long to get the plane done? Because they're a big bureaucratic organization. Right? Any of you's ever done business with a big bureaucratic organization? Everything is slow. Everything takes forever. Everything takes too long. That's generally what you should expect. So if they say next week, that usually means next month. You can follow up next week, but it's probably not going to happen, in my experience. Even companies that ain't that big, everything is slow. Anytime you got to go through layers of people to get something done, expect delays, expect things getting put off till later, and you just not getting things done quickly. That's why I like working with individual people. I like working directly with decision makers because I don't want to talk to somebody who got to talk to somebody else before something gets done, because that usually means there's going to be a delay because they got to go talk to the person. Then that person has to make it a priority. Then they got to have a conversation. And then there's all this back and forth. Doesn't mean nothing's going to happen, but it takes longer. I just don't like time getting added into situations. It generally just annoys me. Kit, Texas Realtor said the plane was given to the U.S. government, not Trump himself. Yes, but the argument is that people are trying to frame it as if they're giving it to Trump. So that's what makes the whole thing, again, an argument. Ty, the big man, said Trump will stay in office 2028. I don't know about that one. Trump's kind of old, too. I think he might want to move on by the time this is over. Saved by BTC said worlds feel safer month by month. Why? Based on what? Miss Bray says supposedly Clinton got a helicopter from somebody. I never heard about that, but okay. Big Worm said example of DEI getting into politics right here. Who you talking about, me? I'm DEI? How am I DEI by streaming on the internet? DEI means somebody had to choose you. Nobody has to choose you to start streaming. Miss Tate said we have to know where our money is going, just like running your household. Yeah, well, that's what Elon tried to do. And look how they responded to him. Miss Tate, thank you for the follow. Roni Faith, thank you for the follow. Who exactly is going to be using it? Hold on. Tate said, who exactly is going to be using it? So this is, what is this? All right, there we go. Well, it's Air Force One. So whoever flies in Air Force One, was it the president and whoever's with him? Brownie Power said, it doesn't matter whether he went through Congress. A gift of this magnitude is unethical. Brownie, that's a false frame. The size of the gift doesn't make it unethical. So your frame is incorrect. Tate said, who's supposed to find it after Trump is done? Well, according to Trump, the plane goes to his presidential library, which means nobody's going to fly it. Window Shopper says, that a fake background? Something is off. No, it's not a fake background. Nothing's off. If anything's off, it's you. Tate said, where are you reading the comments? I'm not seeing them. Well, I'm reading them on the screen. I'm starting at the top, so I'm not reading the comments as they come in. I'm still catching up on comments that were already out. Brownie says, a government official, Trump cannot receive gifts over $25. Why is accepting a plane acceptable? Because the gift is not going to Donald Trump, the person. Michael Schaefer said, people don't like the truth, sir. Well, here's the problem with the truth is that different people have different versions of the truth. That's where it becomes an issue. Michael said, you seem to tell the truth a lot. Well, that's because you agree with what I'm saying. But if you didn't agree, you would say I'm not telling the truth. Creative Artist Resources says the Statue of Liberty was a gift. Grover Cleveland, a Democrat, was president. I've heard people have made this point multiple times. Fitzgerald said politics is a smokescreen. Well, a lot of operating in politics. Governmental politics, yes. There's a lot of smokescreens involved. Miss Tate says Trump is bringing money into the USA. Again, some say. Miss Tate said Air Force One is so old. Derek said, do you think it's not going to cost us anything to tear that plane apart and inspect its software? It's a little bit of a straw man, Derek Jenkins. Do you think, and then frame it as a question, then you're saying something that I never brought up. That makes it a straw man. So to answer what you should be asking, which is, will there be costs to tearing the plane apart and inspecting the software? The answer is, of course, there'll be costs because you have people working, and when people working, they got to get paid. Why are you asking that question? Of course, it's going to cost money. Derek says a huge issue beyond the gift is a security liability. We already addressed that. So, Derek, you must have came in late. That's already been addressed. Miss Tate said it's okay to have a president that has dementia. Well, whatever he had. I don't know what Biden had, but he had old. That's what he had. Brooke Denise, good morning. Yes, we got the straw man of the day. Rodney said, I heard the plane was going to be used by many members of the Pentagon. I didn't hear that, but okay, maybe it will be. Steele Down said all presidents receive gifts. They just had to wait till they're out of office to receive it. Well, then that's not the same. We're talking about an acting president. And anyway, this gift is going to the administration, not to the person. For the 50th time, we said that here today. Irma V, good morning. Creative Artist said Force One is part of the Department of Defense, wasn't given to Trump, was given to the DOD. All right, so there you go. Miss Tate said Barron is going to a Wharton School of Business. That's WHARTON, Wharton, University of Pennsylvania, like his daddy. Did Trump go to Wharton? I knew he went to Penn. I didn't know he went to Wharton. Creative Artist said we didn't have to foot the bill. We had to pay for them to be manufactured and set up to meet specifications. Yes, fair enough. Plane will be on our military, not Trump's hangar. Yes, that's where Air Force One goes. It's a gift from the Department of Defense, so we'll never get to fly in it by the time it's AF-1 ready. Okay. Ms. Tate said Trump wants to enjoy his family his last years. Well, we'll see. I don't think he's going to run for president in 2028. I mean, it's a funny thing to say and get people excited about, but I don't see that happen. Christopher said, I commend you on how you stay cool and collective in your lives. Yeah, I've done this many times. So anything internet comment based is not new to me. Mr. Ohio J said, when's the Statue of Liberty a gift to? Yeah, a lot of people have brought that up here today. User said, conflict of interest. When we work, we all go through a training about that. Well, I don't know if you ever been trained to work as a president of the United States, but we already addressed the whole conflict of interest arguments. I don't know if you just came in, but I've already brought that up like 8 times today. Amber said, you've been in this career a while. Yes, which career are you talking? Christopher said, anything with Trump is bad according to his haters. That's pretty much what you can expect. It's anything around Trump, people are going to find a negative frame to put around it. Which is why people shouldn't waste their negative frames around Trump, because what happens is you condition people to not listen to anything you say about him because they know anything he does, you're going to try to make it look bad. And then if he actually does something that's truly bad, nobody's listening to you anymore. It's like the boy who cried wolf. That's the problem with the whole Trump, the people who are against Trump. It's the reason why he won in 2024, I think. Even with a poor candidate in Kamala Harris, the reason why he won is because his opponents have tried so hard to make him look bad that even if he did something that was truly bad, the people who support him and the people who are kind of in the middle are like, all right, every time he breathes, y'all say he did something bad. So now he did something really bad. I'm no longer listening to you because you try to make everything he does look bad. So then when something really happens, again, a real wolf shows up, the boy's crying wolf, nobody shows up to help him. So that's the mistake that Trump's opponents have made. And they went overboard very far in 2024, which is why even with a poor candidate like Kamala, they still had a chance that they hadn't done all that extra shit. But Kamala was a very poor candidate on top of that. So they compounded their problem. Digital Whisperer said, we always need to repeat ourselves, yet they still won't listen. Well, it's okay. Even the people who are listening, you got to repeat yourself. People generally don't get a message the first time you give it to them. Amber said, public speaking. Yes, public speaking, I have been in that for a long time. Miss Tate, yeah, Wharton School of Business, correct. And over on Instagram, King Works said, "How do you form relationships as an entrepreneur?" I got an episode on my podcast where I talked about that. King Works. I will tell you. Let's see if I can find that episode. I got so many episodes. I got to remember what I titled it. But I talked about relationships 100 times. How to build relationships in business. I did a 5-part series starting in episode number 3077. So you can find that on Apple or Spotify. How to build relationships in business, part 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. First episode is episode number 3077. King Works over on Instagram. And that is the key to doing business, is people knowing you and you knowing them. Shy Guy said, Trump is like any other candidate. He has good points and bad points. Yeah, pretty much. That's correct. Christopher said, bad publicity is good publicity. LOL. Well, for him it is, because it keeps everybody talking about him. And he knows how to control the news cycle. And it helps people like me, because now I'm doing this live talking about him. And if he wasn't around, then I'd be talking about something else. Puff said, what makes Kamala a poor candidate? Well, what made, past tense, Kamala a poor candidate? Because I don't think she's going to be a candidate again. But number one, she's not a great public speaker. If you're going to win the presidency of the United States of America, it's a public speaking competition. That's what it is. All right. President of the United States is a public speaking contest. Kamala Harris is not a good public speaker. So if we just gave you that point alone, that's enough reason why she shouldn't have even been a candidate. This is the reason why she wasn't able to complete her campaign in 2020, because she's not a good speaker. That alone is enough. Another reason why she was not a good candidate is because she did not earn it all the way up to the point of going through an entire primary. If you go through an entire primary, you got to go against 10 other people who all want to be president, and you got to beat all of them in order to get to that spot. So you're battle tested by the time you get to the actual one-on-one for the final two people. Kamala didn't get battle tested. She backdoored into that nomination. And because she didn't get battle tested, she was not, let's just say vetted, for lack of a better term, for the nomination, because she didn't get battle tested. So we can just go off those 2 points alone. That's enough. Those two are enough. And third, that her campaign was based off of, I'll give you another reason. Her campaign was based off of vibes. They were trying to do this whole vibes thing. Vibes. Look at all this energy Kamala has and all these vibes. And the only reason she had all those things is because she was going against Donald Trump, not because people loved Kamala Harris. They loved anybody who was going against Donald Trump. And then she tried to leverage her skin tone. She tried to leverage her being a female as things. And then she could always fall back on those as excuses, which you hear now. Oh, they didn't vote for her because she's black, quote unquote. She's brown. Let's just say that. And because she's a woman. No, they didn't vote for her because she's just not that good of a candidate. That's why they didn't vote for her. And any of you who thinks Kamala is a good candidate, let's see what she does in 2028. If she has to go through an entire primary and go through everybody else who wants to be president, she has to beat all of them out. Let's see if she can do it. Let's see if she can beat out Gretchen Whitmer and what's the guy's name in California? Gavin Newsom. And this other guy, Buttigieg. Just those three alone. I don't think she could beat any one of them. I think if those four were running, Kamala would come in last place. Between Whitmer, Newsom, Buttigieg, and even Shapiro in Pennsylvania. And put her in there as number 5, she would come in 5th place amongst those 5 people. Just straight up campaigning. She come in last. Now, I thought that if Michelle Obama had popped up in last summer and became the nominee, that she would have a really strong chance of beating Donald Trump, because Michelle Obama just had very high likability ratings. But I've heard some snippets from Michelle Obama's podcast, and Michelle Obama is not as good as I thought she was. Sometimes it's good to have people think you're great and just leave it at that and stay quiet, than actually come out there and try to leverage the greatness and prove that maybe they were wrong. I thought Michelle Obama was much more, what's the word I would use? Likeable, much more personable, much more, what's the word I would use? Presidential, for lack of a better term. I thought she was until I started hearing clips from her podcast. I'm like, she's not good at all. So I was wrong about Michelle Obama. I will say that. We're at 63,000 likes. Thank you, Miss Tay, for pointing that out. Can we get to 70,000 here today, folks? I got 21 minutes on the clock. I got through all the comments. So if y'all have a comment or anything, I will take some time to answer a couple. I will let you all know right now that I do these live streams Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern. We don't go past 10 a.m. So I start at 8, and if we need to go to 10, we'll go up to 10, but never past 10 o'clock. So it's a tight 2 hours we do. The live recordings are on my YouTube channel. I'm on YouTube right now. This is my YouTube channel over here. YouTube is on this camera over here, and TikTok's over here. Instagram is over here in front of me. I do have a link, workonyourgame.live. So if you want to know what to do next or where to go next, go to workonyourgame.live. That link is, let me see if I can post this link on, I'm going to post this link on in my YouTube Rumble, etc. So I just posted that link in my YouTube Rumble. So any of you who are watching over there, I just posted the link to workonyourgame.live. That's where you can get links to my podcast, get on my email list, go to my coaching program, and get access to the free books that we give away and my free chat bot called Dre GPT. You can get access to all of that by going to that link, workonyourgame.live. So, oh yeah, then it just popped up again on so YouTube got it, Rumble got it, and hopefully X gets it. Miss Tate said elegant. Yeah, elegant is a possible word, but I'm thinking of words like more around the leadership, she could be president thing. And again, I thought Michelle, when she talked, it was more, there's a word I'm looking for. I'm not finding the right word right now, but she's clunky. She's clunky. That's the word I would use to describe her, the things I've heard her say in her podcast. Not as good of a speaker as I thought she was. Nikki said, what's the topic for tomorrow? We might talk about these white South Africans coming into the country. That might be the topic. Dally said, Big Mike. Jeffrey said, I thought she was much more polished. Yeah, that's a good word. Polished is a good word. Yeah, I thought Michelle was more polished than she was. But it's a whole different ballgame when you're reading prepared speeches than when you're talking extemporaneously. So when Michelle would speak with Barack back in the day, and she's shown up every political campaign since they left. She's been in every one talking, and she sounds great because she's reciting a prepared speech. And she sounded great when she does those. She's a good public speaker with a prepared script. But unlike her husband, Michelle Obama is not very published. She's not very personable. She's just not what I thought she was from the outside looking in. Barack Obama is very personable, and he's a very polished speaker. Whether you agree with him or not, he is a very polished speaker. He's a very personable individual. It's the reason why, one of the main reasons why he won. He's one of the best speakers that we've seen as far as speaking publicly to an audience. He's one of the best. He ain't as good as he used to be. How he was sounding while trying to campaign for Kamala in 2024, he lost his fastball, as they like to say. He ain't the same Barack he was back in 2009. But in 2008 and in 2012, Barack Obama was on fire. You couldn't beat him in public debate, or not even debate, but public speaking. He was the best in the world. Michelle, I thought, was on his level. She's not on his level. That's what I'm saying. I thought she was, but now listening to her on her podcast, it's just very clumsy. Her speech is just very clumsy. Marky said, you're going to hurt someone's feelings talking about Kamala like that. Well, I did a whole lot of talking about Kamala during the campaign. I talked about Kamala and why I didn't think she was a good candidate. And the proof that she's not a good candidate was the fact that she didn't go through the entire primary. And when she did try to go through the primary, she lost. And that's it. She dropped out before they even started voting. In 2020, she dropped out before they even started voting because she just ain't have it. Fishing Weekend said Tulsi destroyed her in the 2020 debate. I remember that. And see, the thing is, when there's another woman running, you can't use the woman thing. You can't use the woman crutch when you're running against other women. That's another challenge that Kamala will have if other women run in 2028. If Whitmer from Michigan gets in 2028, Kamala doesn't really have any built-in advantages because she can't use the woman thing. She could try to use the black and brown thing, but it's not going to work. She already tried that in 2024. She failed. So you can't. How many times are you going to go to the same well and try to use the same thing? So she doesn't really have anything. And if she goes against Newsom, he's already in California, and we know he's going to run. He's acting like he don't know. He's going to run. Like, you don't start a podcast for no reason. He's doing that not to win governor again. He's doing it so he can run for president. And she's not beating Newsom. I don't know what the hell is going on in California. Shout out to California. I don't want to live in California, but they like him. They voted for him. And there's a lot of people in California. So she ain't beating Newsom. So that's where I see Kamala having some problems. If she tries to run again, I think she will. Carl said brash, charismatic. Yeah, charismatic is a good word. Reciprocal said, who does Michelle hate more, Barack or the USA? Probably Barack. User said Obama is sharp. Well, Obama was super sharp in his day. He's a little bit past his prime now. He's still very good. He ain't President Barack anymore. Reciprocal said everyone Barack endorsed lost. That's not true. He endorsed Joe Biden. Joe Biden won. Miss Tate said Bill Clinton was a great speaker as well. Obama was better. Yes, every president we've seen is a great public speaker. That's the reason why I knew Kamala wasn't going to win. She ain't a great speaker. You cannot win president of the United States by being a average or below average public speaker. Kamala Harris is a below average public speaker. Even when reading prepared statements, she's not good. Michelle Obama can at least read a prepared statement and sound great. Kamala can't even do that. That's the problem. Carlos said people started to see through the speech and start seeing the results of his policies. Yes. I mean, often you don't see the results till way after the fact. Reciprocal said Obama practiced in front of the teleprompter a lot. To his credit, he's not as good off of it. I mean, the whole point is, even off prompter, Barack Obama is who he is. That's what I'm saying. He is who he is. What I mean by that is, if you take Barack Obama off a stage and off a teleprompter and just talk and listen to him talk, he is the same person. You take Kamala Harris off a teleprompter and listen to her talk, she's the same person. The problem is she's not good on the teleprompter. Barack Obama is amazing on the teleprompter, and off the teleprompter, it's the same personality. It's not like there's two different people. Michelle Obama, it seems like there's two different people. That's what I was surprised by, because I didn't think there was. But we're not going to knock Barack Obama's speaking skills. He's a very good speaker. He's a very good conversationalist. Now, if you disagree with what he's saying in the conversation, is a different story. But is he good at conversation? The answer is hell yes. He's very good. Kamala's not good at that. If you're going to be president, you got to be really good verbally. You have to be verbally. You got to be a wizard. Donald Trump's a wizard. Obama was a wizard. Joe Biden wasn't that good. Now, Joe Biden was able to leverage several factors in the summer of 2020 against Donald Trump. Joe Biden wasn't quite a wizard. He used to be a wizard. He ain't a wizard anymore. Clinton, wizard. George W., wizard. Those people win elections. So somebody asking what did I think about Kamala? Now you know. Puff said, do I think Hillary was a good candidate? I think she's better than Kamala Harris. I think she's better than Kamala. She had experience being in politics. She was a polished speaker. She had been wife to someone who was president for 8 years. She had been working in government for a long time. She had worked for Obama. So she was very polished. I think Hillary was very polished. If Hillary went against Kamala, Hillary would win. Hillary would beat Kamala. If it was just them two against each other, she'd win. Now, she didn't beat Trump, which was a surprise to a lot of people. I think it even surprised me, actually, that Trump beat her. I didn't think Trump was going to beat her. So was she a good candidate, to answer your question, Puff? Yes, because she went through the gauntlet and she beat everybody. That alone makes you a good candidate. If you go through the gauntlet of the primary and you come out on top, you are a qualified candidate. That's what qualifies. So people like to use the word qualified. What made Hillary qualified was that she went through the gauntlet and she beat all the contenders. Same thing with Trump. He went through the gauntlet and he won. Kamala didn't go through the gauntlet. That's why she wasn't qualified. And that's the way it works. So Reciprocal said, I'd have a beer with Barack. Yeah, Barack Obama is a guy you could sit and have a conversation with, which is what the credit that I give him. Again, you may not like his policies, but the guy, nobody can say that he was not good at speaking. He's a very good speaker. And he couldn't have got as far as he got without it. That's the entire point. All right, so we're wrapping this up, ladies and gentlemen. Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern, when I do these live streams, Fishing says some guys are just not good speakers. Yes, exactly. That's what it is. Carlos said, did she really beat everyone? Bernie was winning, and they had the weekend meeting, and yeah, well, you got that too. Well, Carla, this will be the last thing we talk about. So in 2016, Carla is saying Bernie was beating Hillary, and then they had a meeting, and then all of a sudden Bernie was out. So a lot of people in the political conversation feel like Bernie got backdoored a couple of times from being the nominee. And let me tell you what that's about. What do we talk about all day here today? Relationships. Hillary Clinton has more friends in the government in Washington, D.C. than Bernie Sanders got. That's the reason why she got that nomination. She got more friends than Bernie got. Joe Biden has more friends than Bernie has. Bernie Sanders, in his zeal and his zest to be who he is, fighting against the oligarchy, which he's been doing for the last 30 years and failing for the last 30 years, Bernie Sanders does not have as many friends as those people have, which is why he didn't get the same outcomes. Bernie got fans. He has fans. He doesn't have as many friends. And there's a difference. Fans vote for you to win elections, but friends get you on the ballot in the first place. Bernie didn't have enough friends. That's why he got knocked off the ballot when it seemed like he was winning. even though his fans were mad, his friends, it didn't matter because he didn't have enough friends. Joe Biden got friends in the government. I mean, you saw what he did in summer of 2020. He had so many friends, they didn't kick him off until it was obvious they had to kick him off. Kamala has some friends. She don't really have that many friends. She got picked because, I mean, you want to talk about a token. All right, Joe Biden picked her because she was black and female, not because she was her. And Hillary Clinton got a lot of friends. Hillary Clinton got more friends in government than damn near anybody. And the reason Obama was able to beat her because Obama was just a better speaker than her. So she just went up against a very strong force. That's why she lost to Obama. But those of you who remember, 2008 was supposed to be Hillary Clinton. Hillary was supposed to be president in 2008 after W. Bush. She was supposed to be the Democrat nominee. Obama tried to go against her, and they were going against each other. So those of you who remember, Hillary and Obama were the last two people in the Democratic Party in 2008. Obama just beat her. He just beat her. So he was a better speaker. That's why he won. Hillary had a lot of friends, not enough. Obama had such a skill advantage over Hillary that her friend advantage was not enough to overcome what she was lacking in skill. We got 75,000 likes. Thank you, everybody. Someone said the Hillary win. Well, yeah, was Bernie shafted? A lot of people say Bernie was shafted. If he was, I just told you why. And Hillary was also a senator. Yeah, there you go. So Hillary had a lot of friends, folks. Hillary Clinton got a lot of friends in the government. And if you want to get things done in the government, you need friends. That's how it works. Trump, he had friends outside of the government. That's the reason why he's able to get things done. He has friends who are not in government, but he has friends. So all of you want to do more business, make more friends. That's pretty much what it is. All right, everybody, we are wrapping this one up. I will see you all tomorrow morning. Tentative topic for tomorrow is going to be these white South Africans who have seeking salt and been granted asylum coming into the United States of America. And a lot of people are kind of pissed off about this. All of a sudden, the liberal side of politics doesn't like refugees. This is news to me. All of a sudden, they don't like asylum seekers. All of a sudden. And then, you had the people race hustling saying, oh, these white people in South Africa are controlling everything in South Africa. Now they're seeking asylum to come here. And there's a whole lot of conversation about that. That is a tentative topic for tomorrow, but something else. My name is Dre Baldwin. DREBALDWIN is my name. DREBALDWIN, the Health Motivator. Look, click on the link on my profile on TikTok. It's workonyourgame.live. Oh, actually, I should tell you all. That's the last thing I'll tell you all. Workonyourgame.live is the link. You see it pinned here, and I posted it on Rumble, and it's in my profile on TikTok. That link takes you to get all the resources that you see me mention. You want to get some of my books. The links are there. You want to access my chat bot called Dre GPT. The link is there. You want to get into my coaching program, Work on Your Game University. The link is in there. You want to get on my email list and get my emails that I send out. The link is there. So that's all on one page. Is workonyourgame.live. And yeah, that's that. So my name is Dre, DREBALDWIN. All right. I will see you all tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern. Maybe we'll be talking about these South Africans. Maybe it'll be something else. We'll see. Either way, it's going to be great because I'm going to be delivering it. So that's all you need to know. See you all tomorrow. Everybody have a great Thursday. We out of here.